Hey everyone, it's Brett, and if you are a regular reader of Christian fiction, you will no doubt know the author that I have on with me today. She's a two-time Christie Award winner who serves up a heartwarming hockey romance that blends sports, faith, and family dynamics in her latest contemporary novel. Hearts on the Fly, that's the name of the book that she's here to talk about today. Hearts on the Fly delivers the Hallmark movie vibes that readers love with a compelling story of second chances and finding purpose beyond the game. If that sounds like a book you'd like to read, stick around. Toni Shiloh is coming up next.
Welcome to the Bookish Introverts Podcast. Join host Amazon bestselling author Brett Nelson and avid reader Melanie Dyer as they dive in to review books they've read, then chat with the amazing authors behind them. Quiet minds, big bookshelves. You don't want to miss it.
All right. Hey, Toni, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it.
No, it's my pleasure. I'm happy to be here.
Absolutely. Glad to have you. So, since we are a bookish podcast, I think one of the first things that I have to ask you is, are you a reader?
Yes, definitely. I read every night, every single day. The only time I'm not reading is probably if I'm too sick to even open my eyes.
Yeah. Do you do audiobooks at times like that? Are you into audiobooks?
I'm not, only because I zone out a lot. So
Same.
it's
I
I gotta
cannot do an
read.
audiobook. I wish I could, but I can't. So, but that to me, that is one of the challenges of being an author. I'm an author as well. One of the biggest challenges for me is finding time to read, and I'm a very avid reader. A lot of times, I'll set the alarm an hour early so I can have a little reading time. Is that something you struggle with too? Just finding the time?
Yeah, I'm like you. I've built time into my day because if I don't, like, I feel like your creative well goes dry a lot quicker than if you are able to unwind with a book.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what kind of books do you reach for?
Okay, this might be a shocker, but I reach for romance books.
Considering the books you write, that's not too shocking. Who are some of your favorites?
Oh man, I read a lot, so I've got many of auto reads. Like I read Becky Wade, Elizabeth Madry, Anna Conwell, Courtney Walsh. Like I could go on a long, long list.
There's two, but there's some good names in that list you gave, though. Those are some great authors. So let's give the readers, the listeners, a little bit of a glimpse into your life as a writer. So I thought you might give us an idea of like what does a day in the life of your life look like as a writer? Like what kind of do you set writing goals for yourself? How much time a day do you spend in writing? Kind of give us an idea of what that looks like.
Yeah, sure. So usually my day kicks off when my son goes to school. I have a sophomore in high school. So I use him as like my marker. I have from the moment he leaves to the moment he returns to get anything work related done. So I will look at social media. I'll post on social media, check all of that, follow up on any emails, and then like once I feel like I've done like a little admin stuff, then my brain is free to just dive into whatever book I'm working on. And usually I have a playlist going because it just sets me in the mood of the book. I might have some tea or water, and then I just write until I hit my goal. And sometimes I'll do sprints with other authors because that helps me um,
Hmm.
write faster, or it helps me if I feel stuck because now I might be slightly competitive. And then if I hit my goal and I still have time left in my day, I'll keep writing because I know there's gonna come a day when life happens and I won't be able to sit at the computer, and then I won't feel bad if that happens because I'm ahead.
Yeah, so you have grace with yourself on those days when you just don't get to write. Because the writing advice will tell you you have to write every day.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's impossible because like emergencies happen, people get sick, or you just might get in a block and you can't. So if you work a little bit ahead, then when those days happen, you're like, you know what? Today's just the day I don't write, and that's okay.
Exactly. Have grace with yourself. So now, I want to go back to a little bit of something you just said just now. For readers that may not know what it means, tell them what a sprint is.
Oh, yeah. So a sprint is basically you set a timer, 15, 20, 30 minutes, whatever you want, and you and other writers write in that time period and see how many words you can write. Um, Depending on how competitive you all are, there's a winner. There's usually a clear winner, whoever wrote the most words. But in reality, it forces you not to edit yourself, and it helps you get further along. So I feel like every writer is a winner in that respect because they get further than they were when they started.
Yeah. Now, do you ever do a sprint with yourself, or is that always something you do with others? Like, can you trick yourself into going into a sprint by yourself?
I can totally trick myself. Yeah, I'll do that
Love it.
sometimes. I'm like, if I'm, especially if I'm like distracted by social media or, housework, whatever, I'm like, you know what? Nope, here's the timer. I'm going to sit down 30 minutes, not look at anything else, and let's see how far I can go.
Yeah. And that may be one thing that surprises listeners about us authors. Writing is not all we do. A big chunk of our day is posting to social media. And I don't know about you. I'm of the age where social media is the bane of my very existence. I am not a huge fan of social media. What do you feel about social media?
I always tell my friends that if I could, I'd be a hermit and I would release a book and no one would ever know if
Yeah.
I could just somehow escape social media. I mean, it's been cool to, connect with readers and meet. But I would much rather have majority of my time in my book world versus trying to figure out what to post.
For sure. And do you have trouble getting out of that book world? So do you ever leave that world once you start writing the book, or are you just stuck in it all the time? Like when you're stuck in traffic waiting at a red light, are you thinking, okay, what's going on next?
Yeah, no, I'm totally immersed in that world. My brain does it at the most random times. Like I could be cooking and be like, oh, what if I did X, Y, and Z? Oh, this sounds brilliant. And then I'm like reaching for some kind of notepad nearby so I
Yeah.
can write it before my brain forgets it because I want it to be there the next time I sit.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm telling you, you just sometimes you cannot get out of that world, which is why it's important for a writer to love the world that they're writing, because you're going to be stuck in it for a long time. Yeah.
Here, here.
Yeah. So, talk to me about, yeah, you kind of referred this earlier about editing your book. Like, so when you write, do you? I heard Stephen King on a interview a couple years ago, and he talked about how, as he writes, he totally edits every chapter before he moves on to the next one. Like he makes sure it is publisher ready. Of course, he sends it on to the publisher for the real editors, but he makes sure he's totally edited, self-edited before he ever moves on to the next chapter. I'm more of the type when I write, I just get it on the page. I don't really worry about how pretty it is, how structured it is. I just want to get the story on the page, and then I sort of edit, I pretty it up and polish it in self-editing. How do you work in that?
Oh, I'm definitely like you. I actually don't like editing. It makes me so itchy and antsy.
Uh-huh.
So I much rather that first draft, just like, where's the story taking me? What are they doing? How are they falling in love? Like I'm so immersed in that I don't want to go back and look at a chapter before I go forward. I'm like, no, no, I'm here for new words. Like, let's get this going.
Yeah. It's so interesting to see how different people do it. So are you a plotter or a pantser?
Oh, I'm definitely a pantser. Yeah,
Are you?
I
Okay.
know my characters. I know like where they live and their jobs, and then I hope they tell me the story themselves.
Yeah, I live somewhere in the middle. I'm definitely more of a pantser. For the listeners that don't know, a pantser is somebody who a plotter. They basically, I have a friend like she spends months before she starts writing a book, and she literally knows every chapter, what's going to happen in every chapter. I do not have the patience to do that. So that's what a plotter is. A plotter basically knows every chapter, every character, everything that's going to happen. A pantser, they just kind of sit down and start writing and pray that it works together at the end. Maybe not quite that bad, but that's kind of how it feels sometimes. So I'm definitely in that camp.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm definitely praying, like, okay, Lord, like,
Yeah.
somehow make this work out for me, please.
Yeah. Do you ever think, oh my gosh, this is trash? No one's ever going to want to read this.
Oh, all the time, every single time. My current one I'm working on, I'm like, is it me or is it the story? Is it working? Like, yeah. So I have doubts all the time.
Yeah, I'm so glad to hear that because you are such an amazing author. I read the book we're going to talk about today, and then I've read two of your others, and they're just so fantastic. So it's so amazing to me to hear, and encouraging to me as an author to hear that people like you experience that kind of self doubt because I'm definitely plagued with it.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to tell that voice to shut up.
You
Like, I'm
do.
writing here, like, leave me alone. Because sometimes it can be paralyzing if you don't get out of the
Yeah,
self doubt.
yeah. If you, sometimes you have to you have to learn how to get out of your own head. You
Hmm.
really do. So and it's interesting. You mentioned something earlier. You have a playlist that you create to help you through the writing process. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so basically, I asked myself, what do I think the themes are? What are the tropes? Like for this book, I was thinking hockey, and I was thinking friends and forbidden romance and all the things. And then I asked myself, what songs speak to that? And then
Hmm.
I just create the playlist. And sometimes, because I'm a pantser, I might add a song further down the list because I'm like, oh, this scene requires this song. And so I just put it on repeat and I listen to it the whole time. It's so funny because the men in my house, they know what book I'm working on based off the music.
I love that. I've got an author friend. She's a thriller writer. She doesn't write in the Christian genre, and she every time she publishes a new book, she publishes her Spotify music list for her readers. And so she called me. This was about a couple years ago. She called me and she was like, "Hey, what are you working on?" Well, she and I were just starting whatever book we were working on at the time. We were both starting it at the same time. She was like, "Oh, you need to send me your playlist so I can kind of get into the groove of what you're doing." I was like, "Honey, I don't do a playlist. When I am writing, I need a quiet room. I cannot listen to music when I write."
Oh, you're missing out. But I get it. I have a good writer friend. She's the same way. She needs noise canceling headphones and
Uh-huh.
total silence.
Yeah, yeah. If on a rare occasion I do listen to music, it cannot be anything with words. It has to be. It cannot have any lyrics because I'll find myself jamming to '80s rock instead of writing. You know. So, but yeah, like I'm a huge fan of like superhero soundtracks, like the Spider-Man
Mm.
soundtrack and stuff like that. So if I do listen to music, that's kind of what I tend to gravitate towards, and it has to be very low, like you barely know even know it's on. So yeah, I don't know why I need a quiet spot.
I love how our brains are different, but like we all still write books.
Yeah, yeah. So tell me a little bit about. So you're a busy author. You've already said you're a mother. You're a wife. So you have a very busy life. How do you juggle getting the words on the page when you have all these other things pulling at you?
That's a good question. Usually I'm pretty focused. I kind of get that like tunnel vision and I can block everything out. But there are times in my life when like life seems very loud, very noisy. And that's when I really rely heavily on the Lord because I'm like, I don't feel like I'm capable right now. And so I need you to help me show up and get the words on a page because I usually have deadlines. And so I
Yeah.
can't ignore the deadline, even though life is screaming at me.
Yeah, you just got to get it done.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you if it's something that you're really committed to, we always find the time to do what we need to do. So that's interesting. So writing novels is a process that authors learn and actually improve in over time. So if you could boil down your writing career, to some of the things that you've learned the most? Can you pinpoint some things that maybe you didn't know at the beginning of your writing career that you've learned now that have helped you improve over time? Is there anything about that you can speak to?
That's a great question. Honestly, I feel like I didn't know anything at the beginning. I knew I wanted to write a book. I knew I wanted it to be Christian romance. But like the rules, I didn't know until I went to conferences.
Hmm.
And I think one of the biggest misconceptions I had was that I had to sit down with a huge amount of time to write, is what I believed. And then at one of the very first conferences I went to, I sat in a class of time management where uh, the presenter basically said, if you have 10 minutes and you write in those 10 minutes, you have more words than you did if you didn't write at all. And it seems so obvious. Like it was like, oh yeah, huh? But like in my head, I was like, no, I need at least an hour or two before I can sit down. And if I don't have an hour or two, then it's not going to happen. But then just hearing that little tidbit, I tried it and I was like, okay, like I might have had 300 words after 10 minutes, but
Exactly.
that's 300 words I didn't have before. So,
Exactly. And if you end the day with 300 words on the page, you accomplished something. So,
yes.
yeah, yeah. So that's a good thing to learn. Yeah. Okay, so before we get into the book, I thought we might give the listeners just a little glimpse into some of your other series that you write in, and then we're going to get into the book. So tell us a little bit about Orlo Owl.
Okay. So it's pronounced Aloro Ile,
Oh, okay.
and it's basically this fictional African country I created off the west coast of Africa. And it is about a woman who's an American teacher, African American teacher, who finds out she's actually a princess in line for the throne to this African nation. And her grandfather, the king, is dying and needs a successor. Her father has already passed, and so it's a shock, sort of like the Princess Diaries meets Coming to America, but in reverse because she goes to Africa. Um, and then when she gets there, she finds out in order to actually become the next monarch, she has to get married. So then there's the whole marriage convenience vibe. And the second book in that series is her best friend, who accompanied with her. Her best friend ends up setting up a life there and kind of falling for one of the bad guys from book one. So that's her story. And it's one I really loved because I just crafted the whole thing from the ground up, and it was so much fun.
Yeah, if you like the Hallmark royal movies, I've read the first book in that series. You'll really, I think you'll like these books. So that's a duology, right?
Yes.
That's a duology. Okay, tell us about the Lewis family.
Okay, so the Lewis family has a mom that is Christmas crazed, so they're all named with Christmas names. And in the first book, You Make It Feel Like Christmas, you meet Star Lewis, who is returning home jobless, and she's returning home to her sister getting married to her ex. So bunch of Christmas shenanigans, and then there's that whole drama. And then the second and third book are dealing with her siblings. The second book is the sister, Angel, and then the third book is Angel's twin, who is Gabriel. I haven't written stories for Noel and Eve, but people keep asking me, and so it's in the back of my mind to finish the series.
So that may come up at some point.
I hope so. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, and I'll tell you, I am the self-proclaimed Mr. Christmas. I am down with anything that has to do with Christmas. So I haven't read any of those, so I'm going to have to add those to my TBR. So tell us a little bit about Maple Run. That one sounds interesting.
Oh yes, I love Maple Run. It's what you think of when you think small town romance.
Hmm.
So it takes town. It all takes place in the town Maple Run in Virginia, and the central place in the series is the Maple Pit, which is a restaurant that uses maple in their recipes. It's like Southern food, down home cooking. And in the first book, I call it a marriage of convenience, but basically, a woman puts an ad in a newspaper to find a husband. And the owner of the ad is the chef at the Maple Pit because Maple Pit is in trouble and needs some help. And she offered a dowry in her ad. So they meet up. And it's just this craziness. You get to meet his sister, who's in book 2. And then you meet some of the other characters, his best friends, book 4. And in and around each book, they're going to the Maple Pit, they're at each other's houses, and it's just like one big happy family, and all the things you love about small towns.
If you like small town reads, yeah, you'll definitely love all these books. So let's get into today's book, Hearts on the Fly. It's available everywhere now. It's already been released, right?
Yes.
Okay. It's available Amazon, all major publishers.
Yes.
Okay, or distributors. So basically, the premise of this book is it's this family business. They have this family business, and it's a sports agency. And Dad has started the agency. It's very, very successful, very prominent, and everyone in the family works in this business. So tell us a little bit about Val. All of her siblings are like agents in this company, but Val took a little bit of a different path. So take us into that.
Yeah, so Val's the middle sister. Her older sister and her younger sister are sports agents. Like you said, her dad is also a sports agent and he owns the company. Her older sister's husband, her brother in law, is also a sports agent. But Val is the project manager. And part of that is that her family just said, hey, you're not cut out to be a sports agent. And she didn't buck against that. And so also she is the peacemaker. So she's in this role where she's used to handling things, right? Used to
Yeah.
juggling everyone's emotions and their feelings and what they need. And so project manager role just fits her, but also it's not her heart's desire, right? She's basically taken the path of least resistance her entire life. And in this story, she starts wanting more. And part of that is because of the hero who sees her and sees what she contributes and knows that she's more than what her sisters have pegged her for.
That's a good segue into the next main character in the book, Jabari. He's a very successful hockey player. So, for those of you listening, this is a hockey sports story. So, if you love that, if you love those kinds of stories, you're going to love this. He's very successful. He's on top of his game. He's got millions of dollars, and we're not going to give any spoilers. This is a new book, so we're not going to give any spoilers, listeners. But he has sort of a traumatic event that happens sort of very early on in the book. So, what can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so like you said, he's at the top of his game. He lives, eats, breathes hockey like it's his whole world. And then he gets a traumatic brain injury, and suddenly, like, his world does not look like he's used to. For one, he's got a concussion that he's got to rest from. The second thing is it's affected his vision. Um, and with that comes in the question, can he actually play hockey? Because if you can't see, then how do you play a sport that is so fast, where your eyes constantly on a small black round disc
Yeah,
in the middle
yeah,
of ice? Like, it's basically impossible. And so he's down, he's, depressed, thinking about all this, and his friends decide to put him on a blind date to cheer him up. And that is how he and Val re-meet, because it turns out that he used to date Jackie, Val's older sister.
yeah.
So they have a blind date with each other.
And this is where the family dynamics come into the story because things are going to happen when you got somebody dating somebody's ex.
Oh, yeah, I
or
know,
or
right?
potentially dating somebody's ex. Yeah. So tell us about a little bit about the sister in that story. Can you go? Is that something you can tell without giving any spoilers?
I think so. Yeah. So Jackie is the oldest and she's been given everything. And so she's got that entitled mentality. And so um, Val knows Jabari because she knows that Jabari's broken her sister's heart. It was very evident because her sister told everyone that he cheated on her, he broke her heart, and he's basically who should not be named. And so Val's like horrified when she sees who's across from her on their blind date. But then, Jabari kind of tells her it's his worst day. And she becomes sympathetic, and being the peacemaker she is, she's like, tell me what's going on. And as they develop a friendship, she starts to wonder if her sister has been telling the truth. And
Yeah,
that's all I'm going to say.
yeah. Jabari is definitely the Voldemort of the family, isn't he?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for those of you who are in the Harry Potter world, Voldemort is the bad guy. Or if you're not into Voldemort is, and they actually refer to him in that as he who can't be named or whose name can't be mentioned. I don't remember exactly. So yeah, Jabari is the Voldemort of this story.
Definitely.
Yeah,
And like you said, it produces a family dynamic where everyone is reacting to him based off of the news and information that Jackie, the oldest sister, shared with them.
yeah. Now Jackie, if I can remember correctly, she sort of has had a crisis of faith in this book. Would that be fair to say? Because of
Uh
all of this that kind of went on.
yeah, I think it made her examine herself.
Yeah,
And where does she actually stand with things, and is she the problem? Like, right? Sometimes you
yeah.
got to ask yourself, am I the problem?
And that's a
So
hard question to ask yourself sometimes. That takes some deep self-examination and a willingness to be like, "Oh, I think I am the problem. What am I going to do about this?"
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So there's a character in the book. It may have been Jackie. I kind of wanted to talk about something that I read that sort of stuck out to me. There's a
Okay.
character in the book who doesn't understand how believers can go through hardships and still, at the end of the day, give God thanks. They just can't wrap their mind around that. Was that Jackie or was that someone else?
No, that was actually Jabari, the hero.
Oh, that was Jabari. Okay, okay. Take us a little bit into that. How would you respond to somebody that maybe came to you with a question similar to that? What would you say to them?
You know, um, it is it's an honest question, right? Because when you look around the world, and sometimes it's like this place is a dumpster fire. How is there a good God? Like, I don't understand how you can say He loves us when this is what's going on. And it's a total valid question. And my personal response would be, I know He exists because of what He's brought me through. The
Mm-hmm.
things that I think would have crushed me had I not known him,
Mm-hmm.
I was able to get through because I had him. Like, I have a son who has a chronic illness, and we've been in the hospital more times than I can count. I myself suffer from chronic illnesses. Like, I'm not a immune to hardship. It like lives in my house on a way too often basis.
Yeah.
But like, God has seen us through every single moment.
And that's a good lesson in the book. There are some characters in the book that really go through some life changing times, and sometimes you can feel a little bit abandoned by God. We all can feel a little bit abandoned by God in times like that. So I think it's good to just to know that even in the bad times, God is still there. He's always
Yeah.
faithful to us. Yeah. So for listeners that are maybe interested in themes of the book, what are some of the major themes that readers might encounter in this book?
Definitely salvation theme is present, but there's like growth in your own self, like going for what you actually really want, learning what true peacekeeping is, because a lot of times people think, well, if I don't have conflict, then I'm peaceful. But
Yeah.
that's usually that's you trying to hide conflict instead of
Yes.
confronting it in a loving, peaceful way. So, um, learning what that truly means, and then also learning that you are not your job. It doesn't define you, that there's
Yes.
more to life than what you bring as a job.
That's one thing. I have a day job outside of my writing, and that's a major storyline in a lot of books and novels and even movies. You know, you've got these powerhouse executives. They eat, live, breathe everything their job, and everything else is secondary to that. I don't think I will ever identify with that way of thinking. To me, my job is a way of putting food on the table. It's a way of putting clothes on my back. I will never understand people that eat, breathe, and live work.
Yeah, I think a lot of them though started early, right? So it was like an early identity, especially like with my hero Jabari. He started hockey and skating when he was still young. Like I'm
Yeah,
talking elementary. And when you have your like whole worlds around practices and games and it just continues and you just advance, then like it starts to feel like your identity. It starts to feel
yes,
like that's the only thing you can contribute to society. Whereas when when you do, I don't want to say a normal route, but like the average route, the everyday route of you go to college, you pick a degree, and then like you said, you pick a job that you think is going to put food on the table. Like that, you see it as a means to end and not like your whole world.
yeah, yeah. And Jabari, his world is shaken. Even though he's on the top of his game and he basically has everything. He seems like a very stable force. You know, you hear of celebrities. We can all sit here and name them celebrities that they got a little bit of fame and they just went crazy and they totally
Hmm.
ruined their lives. And Jabari was just a kind of a good stabilizing force. He was a good example of making it in life and not destroying yourself in the process.
Yeah, and I think that actually surprised me because I think I wondered if he would go the other way.
Did you?
So I did, yeah.
Okay.
Um, like I said, Panther, so I wasn't exactly
Yeah.
sure how it would go. So I really enjoyed seeing that stability in him and then learning more about how he interacted with his mom. I don't want to give that away, but there's some dynamics with his mom. And so it's just like, wow, like you are just really stable and steadfast. And I really enjoy that.
Yeah, it was a very refreshing take because honestly, when I went into it, I expected the downward spiral, you know, like we usually see in the books. So it was actually a refreshing change to see somebody who treated celebrity not in a way that it destroyed them. I think a responsible person can lead that kind of life. And is there anything else about the book you want to talk about before we start wrapping this up? And no, you got some writing to do. I'm cutting into your writing time today.
No, no, it's okay. We planned for this. So, no, I will definitely still have writing time. I think one of the things I would say is that even though Jabari deals with something heavy and Val's going through like her own personal growth, um, I I feel like the story is still really light at times. Like there's
Yes.
still humor, some witty banner. Like it
Yes.
won't feel heavy at the end of the day.
Yes, that's another thing that I liked about it. It is a romance. Like, is it classified as a rom com or is it more of a romance? Because there are some humorous moments in it.
That's a good question. I actually don't know how they classified it, if they
Oh, okay,
classified it as a rom com or just a
okay,
romance.
yeah. Now, one thing I did like about it is it was not a super heavy romance. I tend to really prefer books that that focus on family dynamics. To me, the heaviness of family dynamics and sometimes the messiness of family dynamics, I tend to find that really more of an interesting read than romance. And so for readers that kind of go in that direction too, there is enough romance in here, I think, to satisfy that. But I really liked it. The book is heavy on the family aspect of it.
I always have some kind of family dynamic in my stories,
Uh-huh.
but I also have romance. So I don't think
Yeah.
I've ever like weighed which one is more.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I think you did a really good job with blending the family dynamics and the romance in a way that the romance didn't just stomp you over the head. So really enjoyed it. Um,
Thank
so
you.
um, there's a spectrum when it comes to Christian fiction for a lot of readers. There are readers, they think there ought to be a sermon on every page. Jesus ought to be mentioned on every page. And then there are readers like me who are kind of like, I kind of like the more subtle approach when it comes to Christian fiction. Where would you say your book lies on that spectrum?
I think I'm definitely closer to the Jesus on every page, but I hope that I do it in a way where it feels natural and authentic
You
and
do, yeah,
not that I'm preaching at you,
yeah.
but that like this is their lives and this is how they approach faith, and so it just comes out naturally.
As Christians, our life is not always we don't go around hitting people over the head with our Bibles. We don't constantly preach at people. And sometimes being a Christian is just letting your light shine in a dark world. I can't remember who said it, but there's a quote that said, tell the world about Jesus and use words if you have to. Or something to that
Perfect.
effect. I really did feel like the Christian themes in this, they were very natural. It did not feel preachy. I think you did that very well in this book and in every book I've read of yours. So
Thank you.
yeah, absolutely. So, all right, I think we're going to start winding this down. What are you reading right now?
So I recently read Alliance Bride by J.L. Knight. It's like a Norse inspired romantasy, and it was faith filled, and it was just it had everything I love about Christian fiction, and it was a marriage of convenience, which is another
Ah,
favorite trope of mine. So I loved everything about it.
okay. What was named that again? If anybody's interested,
Alliance Bride.
Alliance Bride. Okay. So, what do you think are some of the biggest obstacles that authors face these days?
I think one of the biggest ones is from self, a lot of self doubt. A lot of people will say, well, this person is award winning or this person is a best selling. What can I bring? And they don't realize just how important their voice is,
Hmm.
because you can get the same storyline to 10 different authors and get 10 completely different stories, which means that we all have something to bring to the table. So I really would encourage you, if you are holding back, if you have that book that you've been wanting to write forever, like do it. Like we need your voice. You have
Absolutely.
something to offer.
Yeah, I love that. If you could sit down and have lunch with one person, living or dead, who would it be?
I would choose Becky Wade. She's one of my favorite authors, and I've read all of her books, and I still have not met her. And
Really?
it drives me crazy because, like, we're in the same author world, and I'm like, everyone else has met Becky Wade but me.
I bet we could make that happen. If we
I
tried
would
hard
love
enough,
that.
I bet we could make it happen. I don't know logistically how far you guys from each other, but I bet we could make that happen. So if you could dabble again, you sort of write in the Christian romance sector. If you could dabble in another genre, what would it be?
Honestly, I would love to do, well, probably all of them.
Yeah.
um, no, like I used to really want to do romantic suspense, but then I wanted to do historical romance and then romantasy. So like, if I had the chance, I would love to try at least all of them once.
Do you think you'll ever sort of maybe dabble and just see what you can do?
I will say that I've had unfinished stories in different genres, and maybe I'll have an opportunity to go back to them.
Okay. I've got a story in my mind that has been in my mind for years, and it's biblical fiction.
Ooh,
Yeah, and I have no idea how to write a biblical fiction book, because it's historical fiction, it's biblical. And so one of these days, that would be mine. If I could dabble in one, I've already got the story that I want to write. I just don't have the nerve to try it yet.
Do it. Do it.
I
Yes.
know. Yeah, yeah. So, all right. So, I noticed on your website, I think it was on your website, that you have a page called Sisters of Faith. What's that about?
Yeah, so that is me and a bunch of other African American authors that all write in the Christian fiction sector. So we
Okay.
just thought that we would band together and help uplift one another and celebrate each other's books and wins and everything. And so, yeah, that's what that's.
And as authors, nobody understands being an author like another author. So
Yeah.
you really need that encouraging group, because nobody knows what we go through, the things that we suffer for our craft. So yeah, I love that. So all right, well, can you give us a little glimpse into what you're working on next?
Yes. So, if you read Hearts on the Fly, or if you're going to read it, I do mention Val's younger sister, Fran. And there's a whole little interesting tidbit with her in the book. So, I am going to be working on Fran's story edits um, with her. So, that's what's next.
Oh, okay. So is that, so that's going to be a book two in this, or is this book one in the series, the one we just
It's
read?
technically not a series,
Oh, okay.
but they're connected. Yeah.
They're
So
connected. Okay, gotcha.
you'll get Fran's story.
Okay, fun. Can't wait for that. So, for any listeners that want to follow you online, or if they want to go to a website and just learn more about you, tell them where they can go.
Yeah, sure. Go to ToniShiloh.com. You can sign up for my newsletter there. You can find all my social media links. I'm usually pretty active on Facebook and Instagram. And then you can also just go through all my books that I've written and find your next read.
All right. Okay, I did think of one more thing I wanted to ask you about, and I kind of forgot about it. One of your books was a Oprah's Daily Pick or something like that.
Yeah.
Girl,
Yeah.
we got to know about how in the world did Oprah get her hands on your book.
Yeah, so it was in her Oprah's Daily magazine,
Okay.
and fellow author who knows me, she read my book and she was recommending top reads that year, and it was 2022, and it was In Search of Prince. You read it,
Uh huh. Yes.
um, and that was also my first win a Christie Award, and
Wow.
yeah, it landed there, and I
That is amazing.
it was the most amazing thing ever.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, when I saw that, I was like, wow. I mean, honestly, you cannot get any higher than Oprah. So that's yet another reason to pick up that book and read it. Congratulations on that. So did you get like a huge surge of sales when that happened?
Yeah, that book was a bestseller, and it was just like everything you want in a book. The readers loved it. It was popping up on all sorts of lists over daily.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just amazing, amazing.
All right. Well, we are going to get off here, listeners. We thank you guys for tuning in. Toni, thank you so much for taking the time to come on and sacrificing some of your writing time for us. We appreciate it. So again, tell the listeners one more time what's the name of the book and where they can find it.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. You can find Hearts on the Fly on my website or at your favorite retailers like Amazon and Barnes and Noble.
I will say, if you guys haven't shopped on Bethany House Publishers, you're published through Bethany House Publishers. I don't know if your book is still applicable to that now, but a lot of times on pre-orders, you can get really good deals through Bethany House Publishers on books that are on pre-order. A lot of times you can get them for 30% off of the published price. So I buy a lot of my paperbacks there. So do you know if they can still get any sort of pre-sale price on that or anything? Or
Yeah,
is
so
that done?
if you actually go to bakerbookhouse.com, they're an indie bookstore associated with my publisher, you can get 30% off and free shipping.
Okay, good deal. So if this book interests you, that would be a great place to go to get it. Of course, if you like audiobooks or ebooks, you can get that off Kindle or anywhere else. Toni, do you have any parting words you want to say before we get off here?
No, I would just thank you for your time. I really appreciate how you uplift authors and give us a space to talk about our work. So thank you very much.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. So, all right, listeners, we'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us on the Bookish Introverts podcast, where together we explore the worlds within the pages. Until next time, stay bookish.